We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas from Drink the Movies.
Oh, yeah, that actually works pretty good. That actually works pretty good. Yeah, we do wish you a Merry Christmas or happy holidays or whatever you're celebrating. We wish you a happiest happy day. Coming to you here on December the 25th, 2023. Now, normally, Michaela, Monday is the day we do our lobby bar episode, but we thought since this particular Monday was falling on Christmas Day, we didn't figure there was a lot of, movie to be talking about, although there were a lot of movies that came out today on a side note. So let us know if you have a tradition of going to the movie theater and catching a Christmas Day movie. I know some people out there like to do that. But what we thought we would do today, in lieu of the lobby bars, we would just, kind of talk a little bit about our own, Christmases, Christmas traditions, talk a little bit about the Christmas movies we've covered here on Drink the Movies in our four Christmases so far, and then put together a little bit of a playlist, talk about some of the songs that came from the soundtracks of those Christmas movies, and just have a good time chatting some Christmas stuff. So, Michaela, how are you doing? How was your build up to Christmas? We're recording this early, obviously not on Christmas Day, so hopefully your Christmas Day is going good. But how was December, getting ready for Christmas and getting into Christmas?
Oh, it was great. Just this year, I don't know if it's because it's turned real cold here, but it's feeling extra Christmassy, which I love. I both find that the season is very joyous and also a little disheartening. Like I always struggle with kind of seasonal depression when it's cold and dark.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, in the weeks coming up to Christmas, it has not been super rainy. It's been actually really crisp and clear, and that has done wonders for my mood. So there certainly have been a few down moments for me, but by large, this has been a very joyous time, and that's really exciting. And yeah, my kiddo is like super into the elf on the shelf. He's super into Santa. He's super into all that stuff. So that's been really fun trying to make all of that happen. Um, as you grow up, I think you don't pay enough homage to the parents that instilled the magic. Thank your parents. If you still believe in Christmas magic, you should probably thank the person who or people who spent a lot of time making sure that that happened for you. Because man, it's exhausting, but it's fun. But man, yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into this magic miracle Christmas stuff for sure.
There is a lot of work that goes into all the Christmas stuff, and yeah, this time of year, it gets a little bit overwhelming. A lot of times, you're shopping and decorating and hosting parties and going to parties, and you're exhausted. You just are like ready for like the new year to start over and get to your New Year's resolutions, right, and start anew. But yeah, before you can get into all of that, you have to celebrate Christmas. And a lot of the things that we celebrate at Christmas, like you said, Michaela, are coming from family traditions, stuff we got from our parents or grandparents, other relatives, things we, got picked up from our friends along the way, having like friends, Thanksgiving and Christmas, stuff like that. So yeah, part of this year is doing all these traditional things that we do. And one of those definitely revolves around movies. I know for myself, for you, and both of our families, we watch a lot of kind of the same movies every year, as a lot of people tend to do, and then get into some new classics. And obviously, we've talked about a lot of those here over the year. So, Michaela, how about it? What are some of your kind of family traditions? Are there anything that you like to do every year with the family or growing up that you liked to do? Are there any particular holiday movies that you definitely have to put on, like Christmas Eve nights? Or is there any special drink or cocktail that you have other than our aged eggnog? That is the new classic tradition.
That is
But we've talked enough
the
about that. Is there anything else?
That's true. Yeah. So, gosh, there's a few things. So, my mom used to make this really amazing fudge. It's one of the things that I continue to try and do every year. It's like this velvety. It's so good. I make it for my neighborhood. I make it for old friends. I think I've made some for you. I do like 8 or 9 different flavors. So that's a big thing. Of course, movies, all of the ones that we have watched for the last 4 years and we've gone over are ones that are kind of staples at our house. Always do Rudolph. Scrooged is my favorite Christmas movie, so I make sure to watch that. I try to watch that either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. We leave a lot of really cool stuff out for Santa. Um, Apparently, according to the Christmas Chronicles, not only do reindeer like carrots, but candy canes work too. So that's really exciting. So we always put some goodies out. And then there is a drink that we've never talked about. here at Drink the Movies that I have always wanted to. Daddy, if you're listening, this is for you. My dad makes this drink called a Tom and Jerry. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Brian.
I have heard of it. It's a very classic drink. It's really old. It has like a very long history, but I don't know a lot about it other than it's basically like drinking a warm cup of cake batter, basically, is what it is. Am I right? Am I
Kinda.
close?
Yeah. So you're gonna make this stuff. This is definitely not a lobby bar drink because it's a bit involved, but you're gonna take rum and cognac and you're gonna add this to what we call Tom and Jerry batter. To make the Tom and Jerry batter, you're gonna separate 3 egg yolks and whites. You're gonna set them aside in a non-reactive bowl. So I guess that means like plastic. You're gonna whip up the egg whites. You're gonna add 1/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar until these stiff peaks form. It's kind of like meringue. Then in a separate bowl, you're going to beat the yolks with a cup of sugar. This is when you're going to add your rum. We did a lot. This recipe that I'm looking at, I'm getting it from liquor.com, but it calls for 1/2 ounce of Jamaican dark rum and 1/4 ounce of vanilla extract. We definitely did an ounce or more in my house. So sorry.
Mm.
When the yolk mixture is completely combined, then you're going to fold it gently in with that egg white mixture, and you're going to want to keep that refrigerated. So to make the actual Tom and Jerry drink, you're going to do an ounce of dark rum, an ounce of cognac. You're going to do a tablespoon of the batter that we just talked about. And then you're going to put that in a cup with some whole milk that's warmed. It doesn't need to be like steamed and frothy, but just warm is good. And then you can garnish it with some freshly grated nutmeg, some ground cloves, some ground allspice. It's very Christmassy. My dad used to do it with gin. I don't think I understand why, but that's what he used to do. And I don't think I've ever liked it with gin, but I think I might try this on Christmas Eve. We're recording this early, but I think I'm going to do this on Christmas Eve with the rum and the cognac in an homage to my daddy.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, when we get to our year in review, you'll have to let us know if you did in fact make up one of these. And that sounds it sounds very rich, very decadent, I will say. Kudos to your dad. That sounds like a lot of work to mix up a cocktail on your Christmas Eve. And on a side note, you grew up in Texas. It seems like it's too hot in Texas to have that drink ever. So kudos to your dad for that there as well. He had to add the
Yeah.
extra gin for dealing with little Michaela running around, no doubts
Yeah,
all
probably.
Christmas time. All Christmas time. We didn't have Elf on the Shelf yet to keep you in line. You just had a bottle of gin. That's what you did back then for sure. But no, that's awesome. It's fun to have a family kind of tradition or thing like that. And I grew up drinking a lot of eggnog. We would always just go for like the store bought eggnog in particular. You know, we never really made it from scratch until I started doing that myself kind of later in life. But I think I really kind of developed my love of eggnog, you know, growing up and always having some of that around the holidays myself. There are a couple of things that I like to drink, especially this time of year, and they're both beers actually. One is Mad Elf. It comes from Trogs Brewery in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I always make sure I pick up a 6-pack of that. It's this Belgian dark ale. It's really good. It's brewed with some honey and stuff like that. Really delicious. But the other one, the big one I do every year on Christmas Eve, is I open a bottle of Chimay Blue. It might also be called Chimay Grand Reserve. They started calling that now in the 750 milliliter bottle. So Chimay, it's a Trappist beer from Belgium. And I really like the Chimay Blue. It's not specifically a Christmas beer, but it started out that way. So they started brewing the beer in 1954 as a Spécial Noël beer there in Belgium. And it was so popular, they decided to just have it year round instead of just as this special Christmas ale in 1956. So just a couple years later there. So I always take one of those. I like to buy like 5 bottles at a time and let them age for a couple of years and then crack one of those open. That's kind of my own little like personal tradition that I've instilled in myself. So that's always really lovely time. And then, you know, Christmas Eve, it's watching all the movies, right? So Elf, we watch every year, Rudolph, which we talked about just a couple of weeks ago. It's a Wonderful Life. I always try to watch when I get back home for the holidays. And luckily for me, not always the case for everyone. My wife and I are from pretty much the same town. So when we travel for Christmas, we are able to kind of see everyone there. So it's a lot of running around and seeing a lot of people when we're home for the holidays. So definitely a busy time, a busy end cap to a busy month. But, you know, always good to see everyone and get those traditions still going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing that I have really come to love, though, more than anything, is the history of our drink the movies traditions, right? Around Christmas
Hmm.
time. We do a lot of really fun stuff for Christmas. We make our aged eggnog, which is the very first drink we ever made at Drink the Movies is this amazing aged eggnog. We talk about it a lot. Spoiler warning, it's amazing. And if you haven't made it, you need to go do it. Because it's so good. I guarantee that by Christmas morning, I will have drank probably half a gallon of it, and I will be probably very tipsy, but I'll be very jolly. I'll be a holly jolly Michaela.
You'll be very full from your Tom and Jerry and your eggnog, for sure, come
Great.
Christmas morning. But yeah, that was the cocktail we made for our very first Christmas episode here of Drink the Movies, which was also our very first episode. It was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on December uh, the third, I believe. 2020 was our first ever episode, so you can go check that out for the recipe. It's also on the website. And yeah, that was the first thing we did. It was about the first Christmassy thing you and I ever did together. Was I told you I had to make this eggnog around Thanksgiving, a couple of years before that even. And we've been doing
Yeah.
that ever since. So, Michaela, like I said, this goes back way back to our very first episode with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So let's do this. Let's take a little bit of a break here, and we'll be right back. And we're going to put together a playlist. Now, the playlist is going to be one song from the soundtrack of each of the Christmas movies we did in the first 3 years of Drink the Movies. So it's going to be like a mashup of Drink the Movies and Drink the Music, and a little bit of a playlist for you to enjoy spending your Christmas day. We'll be right back.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
All right. And before we get started with our playlist today, I wanted to let everyone know who's listening out there. If you're listening on Spotify, you should be able to hear these songs. I'm not 100% sure how it works on other platforms, but since we're hosted on Spotify, we're able to use their music. So you can hopefully get some of these songs as you're listening to this. We're going to try it out. Hopefully it works, and we'll see. I don't know. Do you have any faith in our abilities to do this, Michaela?
I do. I'm going to believe. I'm going to believe in the process. I think we can. You've done all the work, so it should work. If it was me, nothing would happen. But I think it's going to be okay.
Michaela's going to go and make herself a Tom and Jerry, and I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do this. I think
There you go.
is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
Is how it's going to work. So yeah,
I'll be right back.
So check us out on Spotify, and listen. If you want to hear the songs, I'm definitely going to put a link to a Spotify playlist on here, just like I did for our Trim the Tree special we did a couple of weeks back. So take a look for that. And now let's get to the music.
So, Brian, we have done, I'm trying to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've done 12
Well,
Drink the Movies
yeah,
episodes that
that's
are
not even counting this
Christmassy in
year's.
nature. Yeah,
That's not even
right.
counting this year's.
My
It does count
gosh,
Die
it's a
Hard. I
lot.
don't know if that's
It
Christmassy
does-
or not, but
It is totally a Christmas movie. We've established this in that episode. Listeners, go back and tell Brian I'm right. But we're going to get started. So what we did is we broke this up into kind of our favorites, and then we are going to talk about each of the songs from
Mhm.
like we picked one song from the soundtrack. And this is like the coolest thing ever. When you suggested that we do this, it was like mission accomplished, challenge accepted. This sounds so fun.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
it combines all of the things that we love, music and movies and drinks and talking. All
Talking,
the things.
pouring through soundtracks. Yeah, and some of these were very easy because there's either like a standout Christmas song on the soundtrack to it, or there's kind of like one or two Christmas songs kind of with some accompanying music. That's happened a couple of times, but some of these were very hard because like it's all just like Christmas, just absolute gems, like the movie Elf, for example. So it's hard to kind of narrow that down to just one, but we did it, for science and for playlist's sake. So let's get started. Michaela, we each just kind of picked 6 of these at random, so they're in no real particular order as to who's going to be presenting them, but they are going in order of how we released them. So our very first episode number 1, Eggnog and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Michaela, what'd you get?
I picked the namesake, which was A Christmas Vacation by Mavis Staples. If you've not seen this film, guys, you're missing out. And we go almost like minute for minute because it's our very first episode.
Very in-depth.
Look, if you're going to do this, if you're going to listen to the first one, go ahead, listen to the first 20 minutes, get the recipe for the eggnog, and then forget it. We know it was our first one. It's almost as long as the movie itself. It's fine. What I will say, though, is the opening sequence to this film is awesome because it's the Griswold, it's Santa. He's like trying to get into the house. It's hilarious. It's this really sweet, like animated thing, and Mavis Staples lends her voice and her talents to this opening sequence, and it's just amazing. I love it so much because it sets up the movie just so beautifully, and it's a really fun, just kind of it's got a bluesy ring to it, but it's also like church-like. I feel like if you were a person who grew up in the church, as it were, there was always a woman who like could outsing everybody, and she would like be in the back of the choir. And that's how I feel Mavis Staples was. She's like, you know, once a year, you're like, hey, will you please sing a Christmas song? And she's like, hell yeah. Or, you know, and she's like, Christmas Vacation. And it's amazing. And you're like, wow. And she blows us all away every time.
Yeah, that's right. Mavis is a woman right after Michaela's Own Heart there, in that sense for sure. Could have went with any of the songs here from this one, especially the ones in the first scene. They're singing at the top of their lungs, driving down the highway to get that fabled Christmas tree.
So Brian, I don't know if you remember, but our very first huge like faux pas mistake that we ever did recording, and our largest mistake that we ever did recording, was from this second episode, which was Elf.
Yes.
And I don't know, do you remember this? We were recording it together for the first time, still trying to figure out all of our stuff. And apparently I had recorded it, but when I pressed stop, something happened and we had to redo the entire episode.
Yes.
And it still makes my cheeks red with embarrassment every time I talk about it.
I do, as the member of Drink the Movies that edits the podcast and gets them all posted. I do remember not getting any audio from you on that. And yeah, that was the last time we ever recorded together. We've done it on the internet ever since. Even when we're in the same like building, we'll still go to separate rooms and record. So I have that fallback, just in case. So yeah, that was our second ever episode. We recorded it twice. I think at least one of them came out good. They came out good in our heads and in our hearts. But the movie is Elf, Irish Coffee and Elf. So for my pick on this one, I am going with Sleigh Ride by Ella Fitzgerald. So Sleigh Ride was written kind of between the years of 1946 and 1948 by Leroy Anderson, and the version featured in Elf is sung by the one, the only Ella Fitzgerald. This was originally recorded for her 1960 Ella Wishes You a Swingin' Christmas, which sounds awesome. I definitely need to get a copy of that. The album found a little bit of success, hitting 95th on the US Billboard charts, but in 2002, there was a reissue of that on the CD, and apparently it caught the ear of the people in charge of Elf, and it would become a part of the soundtrack. And I love the song, Sleigh Ride. It's so fun, and it sounds just like Buddy the Elf has finally made his way through the Lincoln Tunnel. He's experiencing all of the wonders of New York City at Christmas, which is a pretty wondrous time. The Elf soundtrack will be certified gold and is currently the #2 best-selling Christmas movie soundtrack of them all. Spoiler, #1 is coming up next. Sleigh Ride by Ella Fitzgerald, Michaela.
Sleigh Ride. I love Ella Fitzgerald. I think her voice is just super epic, and this song always makes me think about, like, I don't know, this old-fashioned kind of Christmas. You got the bells in the background, you got the richness of her voice. It's really lovely. So I'm glad you picked this one. And this is the scene where he was like leaving Buddy the Elf is leaving Lincoln Tunnel, right? He's
right. Yeah.
Finding his new world.
He's finding gum, free candy. He's finding Santa Claus there in New York City for sure. The Baby It's Cold Outside by Leon Redbone and Zooey Deschanel is kind of the famous one from this soundtrack, I guess. But for me, Sleigh Ride by Ella Fitzgerald.
Well, Brian, as you said, that song did really well, and it was like the #2 Christmas album of all time. But the #1 Christmas album, I'm thinking is
Christmas soundtrack. I don't know about Christmas album. I should have looked that up. I guess, for
Yeah,
posterity's
really.
sake. But
Yeah, that's
this one's
a good
probably up
question.
there. This one's
This
probably up there, to be
You're
honest.
probably right. Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, it was great. This one is the #1 Christmas soundtrack, I guess, and that is The Polar Express, which was the third movie we ever covered, which had the amazing adult hot chocolate, which was really fun. One thing you must never do is never ever let it cool, right? Don't let it cool. That is
Don't
the
let
one
it cool.
rule. Yeah, you
Uh,
got crazy people like flinging hot chocolate on this train. That's not a disaster at all. But the song itself is Believe, that I've picked by Josh Groban. It was in this 2004 Polar Express soundtrack, but it was also included on the 2011 album Heavenly Christmas. It was performed by Jackie Evenko. That did really well as well. But there's nothing for me quite like the original one, which by Josh Groban. It was composed by Alan Silvestri, and the lyrics are from Glenn Ballard. This song makes me cry every time I hear it. I love the end. I just think it's really simple. And of course, Josh Groban sounds like an angel from above. And it's not really representative of the songs that are sung in the Polar Express themselves. There's a lot of like elf songs and things that happen. And so this is in the last credits. So it doesn't really remind me of the movie as much, but I do love it. And I think it's a very just when I want to have like a peaceful Christmas feeling rather than super like kid centric and materialistic. I love this song.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it comes on, plays through the end credits. It's a very beautiful song, and was nominated for the Academy Award there for Best Original Song. It did not win, unfortunately, but it did win a Grammy Award in 2006, and apparently was performed at that Grammy Award show by Josh Groban and Beyonce. So there you go. Merry Christmas and The Polar Express, Believe by Josh Groban. All right, Michaela, and rounding out our fourth and final Christmas episode there of our very first year of Drink the Movies was one of my favorite films of all time, It's a Wonderful Life. And going through the soundtrack, this is definitely more of like an orchestral like a soundtrack because It's a Wonderful Life wasn't really intended to be a Christmas movie, just kind of by happenstance and the way it started hitting televisions and movie theaters and things like that. It quickly turned into a Christmas film, but there is a song that gives me all the Christmas feelings. It gives me all of the good feelings, and that is Auld Lang Syne / end title by Dmitri Tiomkin. Now, Dmitri Tiomkin was born in 1894 and was in Russia and was a Russian trained musical composer. He would move to Berlin, then to New York City, before ultimately ending up in Hollywood in 1929. He aspired to be a concert pianist, but Tiomkin had been working as a music director for a few motion pictures, including the 1933 version of Alice in Wonderland, before a fateful meeting with Frank Capra, which would send him off on his Hollywood scoring journey, winning 4 Academy Awards along the way. Not for It's a Wonderful Life, on a side note. The score for It's a Wonderful Life is very haunting sounding, I will say. It's very classically Russian sounding, for sure, but very haunting. And fair, because it's a pretty haunting movie if you think about it. But I think that the score is absolutely beautiful. I really like the score here for It's a Wonderful Life. Not really that Christmassy feeling if you just listen to the score, but really, really beautiful. When I was listening to this to make my selection, there were 2 kind of songs that really stand out on the soundtrack. And the first one, of course, is Buffalo Gals, which gets sung and played kind of through the intro credits and the end credits. And the other one is Auld Lang Syne. So when Auld Lang Syne comes in here at the end of the film, there's like such the swell. You feel your emotions just simmering to the surface, just like in George Bailey's heart, when that bell rings and the town has come together to, sing the praise of the richest man in town.
That's right. I love it so much. And I think that this version is probably my favorite. It's maybe second to the one that's actually done in another film that we covered, When Harry Met Sally, that is kind of the butt of a joke that Billy Crystal says at the end of the film. But this one's my favorite because you can hear the little bells twinkle if you listen real close. And it really reminds me of that last scene where, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. And it's just very I don't know for some reason, and I don't know if this is actually a Christmas song or if it's a New Year song, but it's since the days are kind of similar.
Mhm.
I usually hear this at the end of a New Year's party rather than Christmas. But it seems like because of the symbolism around It's a Wonderful Life and that George Bailey has really decided to, have a new take on himself and a new way to think about life in general, and the fact that he might not have done all the things that he thought he wanted to do, but he really had a very meaningful, very rich life indeed. I think that that's maybe the symbolism. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I really love that.
Absolutely. So, Auld Lang Syne and the end title by Dmitri Tiomkin from It's a Wonderful Life.
So Brian, I don't know if you know Boris Karloff, but he did not sing this next song.
I mean,
And
not personally. Not personally,
no,
I don't.
I keep getting this wrong. This is an ongoing joke. We've been doing Drink the Movies for 4 years now, and I keep saying that this song was written and sung by Boris Karloff, and I am totally wrong. It's a running joke.
It
Ladies
is,
and
yeah.
gentlemen, it's not Boris Karloff. It's someone else entirely, whose name I don't know. You know, Brian. You know who this is.
I do. That's right. Yeah, we might have even made the mistake in the episode. I don't know, but episode 53, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So this one here, yeah, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch, sung by Thurl Ravenscroft. So the lyrics here are by Dr. Seuss, and it was composed by Albert Haig and then sung by the bassiest bass-voiced singer of them all, Thurl Ravenscroft. Also, on a side note, the voice of Tony the Tiger. Now, fun fact, Michaela, you're not alone in that, because the Christmas special of How the Grinch Stole Christmas did not list Ravenscroft as the singer. So a lot of people wrongly but understandably assumed that it was Boris Karloff singing the song, because he was the voice of the Grinch in the special. He narrated the thing, but did not in fact sing the song. There's some rumors. I don't know if it's ever really been substantiated, but Dr. Seuss apparently wrote letters to all the columnists like around the country to correct it, because it was left out of the broadcast, and he was pretty upset about that for sure. So You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, it's kind of serving as part like soundtrack piece here, parts like narration for like the Grinch doing his Grinch stuff, montage kind of thing. And it's, one of the Christmas season's most covered songs, and it's been in all of the forms of the Grinch, right? So yeah, the Jim Carrey Grinch, he had the newer animated Grinch, he had like the Grinch musical thing, and they've all had You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch in some fashion or another, but no one hits those low notes like Thurl Ravenscroft.
That's true. I mean, he's so like dark. This is almost some of the stuff that they say, right? Like you're moldy and you're a toadstool sandwich. Like it's almost
With
almost
arsenic
Halloweenish
sauce.
with
Arsenic sauce.
arsenic.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, maybe it was the inspiration for Nightmare Before Christmas, which might be coming to a Drink the Movies Christmas spectacular next year, maybe, or Halloween special. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a two-parter. I don't know for sure, but yeah, this was a really good one. You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Thurl Ravenscroft. Now, Michaela, episode 54 of Drink the Movies was Scrooged, and you are on record as saying that this is your favorite Christmas movie of all time. I don't know if that means that this is your favorite Christmas movie song of all time, but what do you have from the soundtrack of Scrooged?
Well, it shouldn't surprise anybody that it's the end credits, which is "Put a Little Love in Your Heart" by Annie Lennox and Al Green. But that's what I put, and that's what I did. There's a lot of music in this film that I really love. At the end, when Bill Murray's character is kind of renewed and he's no longer the big bad Scrooge, he's singing songs with like the entire cast of characters and crew for this show that he's made work on Christmas Eve. And that's really fun. This film, the music at the end is really, to me, it sounds very 1992, which is when the film was made. It's got this like magical, like uh stardust kind of sound at the beginning. And I really love the lyrics where it's talking about, think of your fellow man. If you could put a little more love in your heart, how amazing would the world be? And you don't have to do it at Christmas. You could do it every day, which is basically my favorite thing about life is to be just more loving to each other. But anyway, yes. So this is the song. It's Put a Little Love in Your Heart by Annie Lennox and Al Green. It's a really fun song, and there have been some covers of it since, but nothing to me really hits the same way, because you've got this really beautiful kind of sound difference between the way Annie and Al kind of sing together and the cadence of their voices. I think it's really special.
Yeah, definitely. It was special. It reached all the way up to number 9 on the US Billboard charts and spent 17 weeks there on those charts. So definitely a hit song from the soundtrack. And the Scrooge soundtrack, kind of like the film, is a little bit, I don't know, kind of all over in terms of the Christmas cheer and the not Christmas cheer, because it's like a mishmash of straight up like Christmas songs and like just regular old like popular music, right? There's like the Van Morrison Brown Eyed Girls on the soundtrack, and that Ride Along sign with like We Three Kings. So a little bit of everything here in Scrooge. So easy to see why it's your favorite. Put a Little Love in Your Heart by Al Green and Annie Lennox.
So I know what you're thinking, Brian.
Yes, I know. Yes. What am I thinking?
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking we're going to talk about the next film. And the next film, for anybody who's been listening, is White Christmas. And you're thinking, Michaela, you're going to pick the White Christmas song by Bing Crosby. And you know what? You're wrong. You're so wrong.
Wow. That is a bold move. Yeah, episode 55 for Drink the Movies was White Christmas. And yeah, you would think that you would be picking the song White Christmas. It's where the movie gets its title from, although on an aside, that's not where the song came from, right? For sure. It was the first used in the film Holiday Inn, but it's come into this movie, White Christmas, as the main title track. But that's not the song you picked. Michaela, what's up with that? What song could be better than White Christmas?
I'll tell you, it's a song called Snow, and it's sung on a train when they're dreaming about snow, because there is no snow in this movie until the very end, which is interesting because Bing Crosby sings White Christmas at the very beginning when there's lots of snow, and then he sings it at the end when there's lots of snow. But the whole point of this film is that there's no snow at Christmas, and they're dreaming about a white Christmas. Anyway, the song Snow was sung by Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney. It was done on this train. It's the train scene where they're in the club car. Bob Wallace, Phil Davis, they have given up their seats to Betty and Judy Haynes. They're really not happy about it. Bing is like real mad, but then they show up and, Betty Haynes looks so pretty. He's like, that's fine. It's totally fine. I don't mind not sleeping. Let's sing about snow instead. And this song is so much fun, because it talks about all the things you can do with snow and things that you would maybe never do with snow, like wash your hair with snow. But they kind of make this a cappella sound of like the train, like the and it's super neat. I remember being just mesmerized by this watching it. And so that's the why I picked it.
That's a good reason to pick it for sure. I'm going to be spending about 8 hours in a car tomorrow, so I'm definitely not going to be dreaming of snow. I'm going to be dreaming of anything but snow. Keep that off the road, please, as I make my travel, and hopefully everyone out there travels safely as well. But yeah, snow is the best one here for sure. Is it better than White Christmas? I don't know. Make your own mind up there about that. Snow was also not originally for the movie here of White Christmas. It was originally written for Call Me Madam, but eventually wound up here in It's a White Christmas. Really couldn't go wrong with any of the songs from White Christmas, to be honest. But Snow by Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Vera Ellen. Really good one. All right, so Michaela, the next episode up is episode 56, where we made ourselves a smoking bishop and talked about Christmas Carol. Now, we didn't talk about any Christmas Carol, at all. We talked about the 1951 version of Christmas Carol, and from that soundtrack, I picked Hark, the Herald Angels Sing. Now, I went ahead and I put on the playlist here the St. Paul's Cathedral Choir. version of this. Now, for transparency's sake, the version of Christmas Carol that we covered in the soundtrack for the film is not very well documented. So there is in the movie a version of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and I don't know what version it is. So I know a couple of things. I know that it is definitely not the St. Paul Cathedral's choir version. But I like this version. It's from London. The movie's from London. The version of the film, it was recorded in London. The gentleman who did the soundtrack, the score for Christmas Carol, the 1951 version, also from London. So I figured, let's go with St. Paul's Cathedral Choir. That sounds pretty good. But the choir, it predates this movie. It predates the Charles Dickens story, all that stuff. So Hark the Herald Angels Sing is an old song, right, Michaela? It was originally written in 1739. The lyrics come mostly from Charles Wesley in 1739, and then there was an update by George Whitefield in 1754. There's been some other updates since, but those are the two that most often get like the writing credits for the song. It's set to the tune of Felix Mendelssohn's Fesca song from 1840. Now, it's commonly referred to as one of the big five Christmas carols, Michaela. Hark the Herald Angels Sing is. Do you know what the other four are?
I do not.
Okay. Let's get into it then. O come, Emmanuel, Joy to the World, Silent Night, and O Holy Night, plus Hark the Herald Angels Sing make five. Those are the ones you're going to sing if you go to your Christmas Eve Mass, for sure, probably, in some way, shape, or form. So the St. Paul's Cathedral Choir, on the other hand, it goes way, 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 way back to at least 1127. Really old. The choir is composed of a boys' choir, of a vicar's choir, and some professional singers. The St. Paul's Cathedral Choir introduced their first female singer to the vicar's choir in 2017, which is awesome. But it's also how I know that the St. Paul's Cathedral Choir did not sing the version that's on the film, because the version on the film had women singing in it in 1951. But don't worry out there if you have any concerns about that. St. Paul's did announce that they would begin allowing girls into the cathedral choir in 2025, meaning that it only took 898 years for the church to realize that girls could also sing.
Oh my God. Okay. And that is interesting, Brian. Thank you for the lesson and oh my gosh. Okay. Equal pay is way far off for them. They're probably only going to get like 1/12 of the pay as well. Okay. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Hark the Herald Angels Sing. We all want to be normal and equal people.
Hark
all right.
Indeed. But yeah, I do really like the song. I like all the big five of the Christmas carols there that I just mentioned, and Hark the Herald Angels Sing is a really good one. I like kind of the I don't like the cathedral like elegance and just vastness of it. It sounds awesome. The version here I'm including, the one that comes from St. Paul's Cathedral Choir, is excellent as well. So give it a listen. It's one of my favorites. It just sounds like, sitting in a cathedral somewhere with organ going and some beautiful choir singing. So Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
So Brian, you and I have been fighting a lot. Every Christmas we fight about Die Hard and whether it's a Christmas show or whether it's a Christmas movie. And it is. You know why it is? Because there's Christmas music in it. Okay. Totally a Christmas show. Yet one of the many reasons, one of the many manners of evidence is that during the closing credits, they go home because it's Christmas Eve and they go home to listen to Vaughn Monroe's Let It Snow. This is my favorite version of this song. A lot of people have sung this song. This is, I feel it's like the new of the old classics. It's not as old as like 887 years old, but it's kind of a classic, like crooner song, right? You definitely have had Bing Crosby sing it. We've had Tony Bennett's done a really great version of this, I'm sure. I mean, there's tons of like when I was swing dancing all the time, there were lots of like big band Let It Snow versions around. So but this one for me, it's my favorite. I feel like when you go listen to this, if you were to go listen to this on Spotify, which is where we are right now, by the way, hopefully you're on Spotify listening to this, but if you're not, you're going to notice that this is a slight bit slower than the one that's in the soundtrack, that's on the soundtrack. And I think they just sped it up because I couldn't find the one that fits it perfectly. But I looked and looked. So if you find it and I've just missed it somehow, let me know. But Vaughn Monroe does a really lovely version. His voice is rich and deep. It's bluesy enough, but it's not so like horn based or brass based that it drowns it out. And I really like at the end of the film where you're like, well, it's still a party up in here. Like everyone's dead. Nakatomi Tower is a complete disaster. Let's pop out some champagne, baby, because it's Christmas. I don't know. That's how it feels, and that's why I chose it.
There you go. It is a good Christmassy song, and it does lend itself well to our soundtrack right here. That was a really fun episode, making that Nakatomi Tower and talking about all about Die Hard and whether or not it's a Christmas movie. And I'm coming around to this, Michaela. I'm coming around to it. You have opened my heart to Die Hard being a Christmas movie, because I'm looking right now at the song list on this for this film here, and you got some really good stuff, right? Like Assault on the Tower, Attention Police, I Had an Accident, The Battle. What gets more Christmassy than that? I don't know for sure, but Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow is the one we're going with here today by Vaughn Moore.
Oh my gosh, I'm still laughing so hard.
So Michaela, Die Hard, questionably a Christmas movie or not. Basically, the next movie that we covered was like Die Hard for kids, basically, right?
Yeah.
That is Home Alone. Home Alone, episode number 106. Kevin McAllister fighting off bad guys. Listen to some jams by John Williams.
Yeah, John Williams. Gosh, he just doesn't do anything bad, does he? I mean,
Nope.
He just doesn't. And I love the soundtrack. I love that it's so it's so iconic with this film, and now it's used all over. I remember my very first time listening to or being in San Francisco, and I was there for the changeover. I call it the holiday changeover, where it was Thanksgiving, and then the next day everything was Christmassy. Like immediately, it happened like overnight. It was crazy, and every song was a John Williams song. It was amazing from this soundtrack. It's so good. So if you haven't listened just to the soundtrack of Home Alone, it's worth your time. But my favorite songs from this are kind of a duo. It's "Oh Holy Night," and then right after that, it goes right into "Carol of the Bells." The reason why they're my favorites is because of the kind of the grandness. It's very cathedral-esque, and my favorite scene in the entire movie happens during these songs, and it is when Kevin McAllister is in church kind of trying to make himself right with the Lord before he goes and like has to deal with all of these wet bandit catastrophe shenanigans, and he comes on that older gentleman who he was totally afraid of for the beginning of the film, and realizes that not only is he a very nice guy, but he has his own Christmas miracle that he needs. And that is for his son and him to mend fences and kind of forgive each other so he can spend time with his son and his granddaughter who he's never met. So it's really an amazing scene, because I believe that as much as Kevin McAllister needed help and an adult during this time, really this old man needed an angel to kind of give him the courage to make a phone call and swallow his pride and say, hey, I miss you, and it's Christmas, and I love you. And I just love that scene so much. It's my favorite scene. It's definitely the most adult scene of the whole thing. And it's really where the lesson happens and makes it more than just a Christmas film or a film that is a child's Die Hard. Brian.
I mean, come on. If we're going to say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then this can be the Die Hard for kids for sure. Oh Holy Night and Carol of the Bells are two of my favorites Christmas, standards. By all accounts, and John Williams versions of them here are excellent. You also definitely would not have been wrong to pick the theme from Home Alone, also known as Somewhere in My Memory. That is an excellent song as well. Fun fact, the soundtrack here for Home Alone came out on cassette tape in 1990 and not on CD until 2015. Why the 25-year wait? I don't know. But yeah, definitely good picks here. Oh Holy Night and Carol of the Bells from Home Alone.
You'll shoot your eye out.
You will shoot your eye out. Not if you have an Ovaltine martini, which is what we made when we talked about A Christmas Story back in episode 107. Michaela, you had picture 6, which left me with this one. And this one was the toughest one I had to come up with, I think, for sure. But for A Christmas Story, I picked the song Glorious Beautiful Christmas by Carl Zitterer and Paul Zaza. So Christmas Story was scored here by Zaza and Carl Zitcher. And the score for the movie is great. But there's not really like any like Christmas like staples or Christmas like sounding tunes in it too much. And in fact, the score didn't even release on any sort of format until 1999, so like 15 years after the movie came out. But the music for the film is really excellent, and it definitely like sucks you into like all of those little like vignettes that you're getting throughout kind of the whole movie. It just takes you right back to it when you're listening to it. So listening to the soundtrack, I kind of had to pick and choose, and I found this glorious beautiful Christmas song, and it's excellent. So it starts with like a music box or like a snow globe playing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," and that goes into like a string orchestra and then a full-blown orchestra. And it sounds just like in the movie, just like waking up on Christmas morning and having some cocoa, getting yourself a Red Ryder BB gun. And the end part of the song here, this beautiful Christmas, I guess, kind of thing. It's almost like a lullaby, I guess, just like comforting you after the busyness of Christmas morning, right? You get up extra early, you have yourself some coffee or some hot chocolate, and then you have to take a nap from all the excitement. This little lullaby here, kind of at the end of this piece, is really good for helping you wind down. So I don't know, Glorious Beautiful Christmas. It's a really, really good one.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It is a really, really good one. I love that you wake up to Christmas kind of this way, where you're, especially as an adult, you're kind of slow to wake up, and then the excitement builds, and then it becomes this crescendo of like, oh my gosh, Santa came, and it's so great. And then there's a drink in there somewhere. I love that the kind of the end when Ralphie has gotten his BB gun and he's sleeping with it at night, and he's so happy. It just kind of brings this all kind of round and home for me, and it's lovely. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I hope everybody enjoys this song. So Brian, we have one more movie to talk about, one more soundtrack pick from yourself. This is for your beautiful bride, who has, without a doubt, every Christmas we ask her, what is your favorite Christmas movie? And she says The Muppets Christmas Carol every time. I love it. I love that she knows herself. It doesn't change. Because sometimes people have multiple favorites, but not your bride. She knows exactly, she knows what she's about, son.
She has one favorite. It is The Muppet Christmas Carol. I fall somewhere further down the list, I think, for sure. And yeah, we did talk about this back in episode 108. We made a Naughty or Nice cocktail and got into the story here of Scrooge. We've done kind of three versions of A Christmas Carol, if you think about it. Michaela, this one maybe is the most fun. And yeah, I definitely watch this Christmas time. I do it every year. And when I put it on this year, my wife said something like, you brought out the big guns when I put it on, or something like that. So yeah, she definitely into it. And something I'm into here from the soundtrack is One More Sleep Till Christmas, sang by none other than Kermit the Frog. Technically, this is coming out on Christmas Day, so there's no more sleeps until Christmas, but who doesn't love some Christmas tunes by Kermit? Kind of in any Muppet show or Muppet movie, get Kermit in there and you're good to go. The world is at her best, when people love and care, and true story, Kermit. This song is written by Paul Williams, and the tune kind of gets us started into this world of the Muppets, right? It's giving you this feeling of hope and joyous loving of Christmas here for the Muppets, and despite that dastardly one that we call Scrooge. And I really like the song, Michaela. I really like in the movie Muppet Christmas Carol, there's like the scat version of it that's Kermit and his little Bob Cratchit there. I think it's actually like his nephew, Frog. They're playing Bob Cratchit, or playing Tiny Tim in the movie. They do that, and Kermit's like do kind of through it. It's really fun. So this is one of the really good ones. The soundtrack itself was really good. It peaked at 189th place on the US Billboard charts, and it had a digital re-release in 1989. So One More Sleep Till Christmas, or 364 more sleeps till Christmas, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I love that you picked this from a Kermit the Frog perspective, because anything he does is just so like calming and sweet. And I do love the scat version of him where he's playing Bob Cratchit, and it's kind of this different take on it. But I love the idea of, even as an adult, we're counting how many sleeps till Christmas. And I don't know if it's because we have our now adult advent calendars with booze in them, or if it's just the kids in us. But I still say it's like how many sleeps till Christmas once we get into December. And it's that like anticipation and like putting everything together and like I don't know, like the getting ready for all the love you're gonna have and share on that day is really sweet. And who says that better than Kermit? I don't know. I don't know if anybody says it better than he does.
That's right. Kermit is there to tell it like it is. And that's exactly what you get here on One More Sleep Till Christmas by Kermit the Frog from Muppets Christmas Carol. All right, Michaela. So that is going to conclude our Christmas playlist here. We went through the first kind of 3 Christmases we've done. We've done a couple more Christmas movies here just recently, the last couple of weeks, getting into the spirit. But like I said, it was a special occasion. This fell on Christmas Day itself, and we wanted to do something a little bit different and a little bit fun. And hopefully, everyone out there listening found it enjoyable. Did you have a good time coming back, doing a little bit more Drink the Music stuff, incorporating the Drink the Movies and the Drink the Music? All the things. How do you like our
Yes.
playlist? How did we do?
I think we did really well. I'm super excited. And I know because I'm doing it ahead of time, I know that I will be playing this at Christmas dinner. I know that I will be doing this when I'm going to be playing this playlist on Spotify when I do our cookie extravaganza that we're going to be doing. That's kind of a family tradition. I'm super excited. This is some new stuff that I hadn't really thought of before of putting together in a playlist. I know you're not really a playlist kind of person. You much prefer to listen to kind of albums of their own, but this is kind of an album that we made. We made it on our own. It's pretty cool.
We did. And even really like the best of your Christmas albums by and large are going to be some sort of playlist of different Christmas staples and new classics and old classics kind of put together by a different artist or some sort of compilation there. So yeah, this was fun to do, and it was fun to go in and talk a little bit about our kind of own Christmas kind of things that we do and drinks that we have and ways that we go through and pick these songs and go back to revisit all of these memories we had making those first 12 kind of episodes through the first couple of years of Drink the Movies there. So yeah, definitely let us know what you think, and check out on Spotify. We'll have link down in the show notes there to an actual just playlist of the song. And if you listen on Spotify, hopefully you're able to kind of hear the songs. I'm going to be trying to get those inserted there. I don't know how that's going to work elsewhere, but hopefully you've enjoyed us talking about these Christmas tunes. So with that, Michaela, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's very extended, very extra special version of the Lobby Bar. So thank you to everyone who tuned in this week. We definitely appreciate all of your support, and we appreciate the support of our patrons over on Patreon. Drink the Movies couldn't be what it is without their supports, and everyone out there who's listening and liking and commenting on all of our stuff. It's been an amazing year. We'll be back kind of next week with our year-end recap, kind of special to see what we thought of 2023 in terms of movies and music and all the things. So I don't know, Michaela, do you have any parting thoughts here to wish us well on Christmas Day before we sign off and go take a nap? I'm going to go take a nap for sure.
No, I guess just put a little love in your hearts, because it's going to be snowy and we're going to let it snow on this holy night listening to Carol of the Bells. It's glorious, beautiful Christmas. And we can all believe. It was pretty good, right?
Very well done. Well done. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely great. So
I tried.
So yeah, so thank you so much. Like I said, for all of your support through the year. Hopefully you have a safe and happy holidays, however you are celebrating and whoever you're celebrating them with. Have a great time. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow us on our social medias. Let us know what you got up to for your own holidays. If you made anything special to drink or saw any good movies, let us know. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. Go to our website, www.drinkthemovies.com. That's where you can get episode recaps, cocktail recipes, all that good stuff. Go check that out. Make sure you are liked and subscribed on all of your podcast players. Michaela, where can they find us?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are distributed and supported. Whatever you're listening to now, there is a subscribe button. Press that button, and we'll see you next time.
That's right. So thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays. Enjoy the music, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
The
The
movies.
movies. Put a little love in your heart.